Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by DraftKings. My name is Justin Pennick, alongside my co-host, not Bobby Skinner once again. He is getting even worse, which is bad news. Next time we're going to see Bobby Skinner, he's going to have lost 80 pounds, and he's going to have a full-grown beard. He's going to look like a mountain man and be a changed man. But my co-host today is the Football Grump, the co-host of Just Giants podcast with Grump and the Cranky Fan. Grump, how are you, my friend? Thank you so much for stepping in.
Hello, I'm well. I'm the Football Grump, for those of you who don't know me. Coming on here, I was going to do this episode anyway for my own podcast, so no big deal. I would love to jump in and talk Giants football with you.
There you go. So if you don't know Grump, or if you even maybe just recognize his voice, it's like, I recognize this guy's voice, recognize this guy's face. We were live streaming for the NFL draft for like 15 or 17 hours this past year. And you saved us. And while Aaron Robinson has been balling out these last couple weeks, and it's been a lot of fun for me to see, but I'm sure it's even more fun for you to see, because you were on our stream when we drafted him. We traded up, and then we drafted a guy that we never heard of. We're like, Snacks was on there, Bobby was on there, I was on there. We're like, who the hell is this guy? And you're like, oh, I know him. So this is Grump, and we're actually going to be going down to the Senior Bowl this year. It's going to be Bobby, myself, and Grump. We're going to go down to the Senior Bowl. A lot of good names on the Senior Bowl invitee list this year, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, man, that's actually funny. I was so happy about the Aaron Robinson pick. Not because I think he's like absolutely fantastic, not missed prospect, but I really liked him, and I didn't see us trading up. I didn't see us taking him. I didn't see any of that. So when they made the pick, I'm stomping around my apartment, and I'm real happy, and whatever. And then like the next thing I know, I had your guys' podcast on my computer just playing, and I heard Bobby from the other room going like, Grump, get on here. We're just going to have to cut. I was like, what's happening? And I like ran on there, and I just kind of jumped on. But yeah, I super love Aaron Robinson. I really liked the way he played, and I thought he would fit well in Graham's system. I think I ranked him either third or fourth best corner in the draft. Last year, I really liked.
And there was a crop ton of corners taken, like even in like the first and second round. They're usually, I feel like there always is like a big run of corners that always happens in the NFL draft, where if one's taken, you see a bunch kind of fly off the board at once. That's pretty big if you had them ranked that high. Yeah.
I did, yeah, but I mean, the runs on players, I kind of put to mismanaging your draft and just kind of panicking.
Yeah.
Does not necessarily represent anything in general, but I mean, there were some definite like top end talent at corner with Caleb Farley and Patrick Surtain and stuff like that. So
yeah. So Grump's a really in tune guy in the draft. Certainly more than I am. He's right up there with Bobby with like looking at that film and stuff like that. So we're gonna have a lot of Senior Bowl week. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna do some dumb shit, and we may get in trouble. And we'll also evaluate players while we're at it too. And the invitee list is pretty fun. I know Malik Willis is one, but we're not drafting a quarterback, right? We'll see. So
who's our GM?
Yeah, that's true. This is a Chargers preview pod. What week are we in? We are in week 14. Week 14. 1 week closer, right? Week 14 against the Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers. That's what we're doing today. But first, before we kind of get to it, we have another Daniel Jones conversation that we have to have. This episode is presented by Jacob G and Jason Vargas. Jacob G and Jason Vargas, they are presenting today's show because they went to patreon.com/talkinggiants, and Jacob, world beater tier, that's pretty cool. $2 a month, or there's some other tiers if you want to give. Patreon.com/talkinggiants. Thank you to our patrons. You get a lot of fun benefits. You hear it every show. Jacob G, Jason Vargas, you guys are the men. You guys are the men. You're the mans. All right, Grump. First thing that's on my mind, and the first thing that's on your mind, at least if you're on Twitter, there was a report by Paul Schwartz of The Post that the Giants play Daniel Jones against the Eagles a week after he apparently sustained some sort of, and this is the direct quote, structural damage in his neck against the Buccaneers. Long story short, after a lot of hours of aggravation, confusion, and bewilderness, the Post has since retracted that story, and they say that Jones did sustain that injury the second play of the Eagle game, like we thought. So, moral of the story, if you're not on Twitter, you don't really need to think of Daniel Jones' injury any differently than you did yesterday. He may be out for a few weeks. He has something wrong with his neck and he's not cleared for contact. But if you are on Twitter and you did kind of look at Paul Schwartz's report and you got all mad at the coaching staff and the training staff, you kind of have to retract all that and you have to work your brain backwards from not being so upset. So we've had quite the whirlwind of a day in terms of Daniel Jones updates.
Man, I don't know. Like, there were so many things wrong with that report that I'm not even sure what to believe anymore. I feel less sure finding out that there was like a retracted part of the story, and because it's not like it's a typo. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh no, that was like a clear cut, and not even like a little bit of a neck injury. Like, this is saying structural damage, which I'm not a doctor, which is the whole part of me reacting to hearing that the Giants the Giants supposedly let Daniel Jones play with the structurally damaged neck. It sounds bad, but I can't tell you as just an average Joe. I can't tell you like, oh, can a football player not play like that? I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, I think
doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't sound good. But again, this is like one of those things where we're not doctors. And I believe it was structural damage to a neck bone. It was like damage to one specific bone. Yeah. Whereas like, again, like, I don't know, is that better or worse? So like this, the whole neck sounds worse to me, but I don't know how important is that one neck bone. It's so much speculation, and Giants fans, I think usually, or I guess typically would think immediately of David Wilson. No. And
yeah, that's what people were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I basically, this came down to me whether or not the report was true on time and place. If this actually did happen in Tampa, then there's something to talk about here. If it didn't, then unless you're a doctor, there's nothing to talk about here. Right. I don't know anything about structural. That's like those are what? How do I want to say? Unless you use an actual diagnosis, structural damage are like scary words, but they're just kind of word. Like, I don't know what that means, and to react to it is a little nuts. I think the bigger problem is, that Daniel Jones is just our injury is just part of Daniel Jones at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's funny how a couple weeks ago, I kind of yelled on this show. I forget what story it actually was. Maybe it's Jason LaConfora saying that, Garrett was, like Judge wanted Garrett gone at the start of 2020. But I got frustrated on the show. Why can't our beat reporters break any stories and break any news? Well, they did. And it caused a day and an afternoon of panic and a lot of people getting mad. And then basically, well, all those emotions that we felt throughout today, they don't matter because Daniel Jones did sustain the injury against the Eagles, and that's that. So that's that convo.
I don't want to I don't know. What is the repercussion on Paul Schwartz for screwing that up? Seriously.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know if there was video of the press conference today. Maybe that's something that the Giants YouTube account will put out later. The repercussion is just trust of people in the building. Like, whoever you heard it from clearly didn't run their sources right. You didn't run your sources right. And now you have a head coach who I can imagine is absolutely livid. Like, I can imagine Judge might have heard that and be like, what the F is this? Like, this is really bad.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it's such a critical error. Like I said, this is not just a typo. This is like a real serious error that put all kinds of implications on all kinds of people. The medical staff, Joe Judge. I mean, those would have been probably fireable offenses if he had a serious injury that they decided wasn't as important as winning a game.
Yeah.
But I think Joe Judge would be rightly pissed if this is 100% inaccurate. Which, again, now I don't know if it's 100% inaccurate. I'm not. And Jordan Raanan just put out this really vague tweet that was just like, don't believe everything you hear, Giants Twitter, which is like, I have no idea what that means or what you're talking about. How much of this story isn't true? Is all of it untrue? Some of it? Is it not that important? Or are you talking about Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I mean, he could have structural damage. Again, it's such a vague term. It's such a vague description, I guess. He could have structural damage to his neck, but the only thing that maybe Paul Schwartz might have gotten wrong was the timing of it, like you said, of against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Where this whole Jones situation and the Jones injury situation, between what we've heard from the Carpenter, between Daniel Jones saying that he's fine, and then not telling any of the coaches the day of the Eagle game, but him still not being cleared for contact, but seeing how he's basically, I guess now, the scout QB for the Giants, where he's throwing up 50-yard bombs, replicating like he's Justin Herbert, even though I don't think Justin Herbert has thrown a lot of 50-yard bombs. So why the Giants
what is that?
Why are that? We'll talk about that when we talk about the Giants defense, but why is Daniel Jones throwing 50-yard bombs when Justin Herbert's intended air yards is like the same as Daniel Jones this year? It's a very, very bizarre situation, and it makes me uneasy as a Giants fan who wants to see Daniel Jones play and wants to see him succeed. So shotgun to your head right now, Daniel Jones is the quarterback next year?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
2 years from now, though.
No. Right now, no. There's no evidence for that I could say yes, unless things change next year. But, what's more likely to happen? Things don't change next year, or things don't change enough for me to change my mind. That's also the thing, too. Where Giants could be better next year in terms of scoring points. Okay, but they're still 20th. And that would still, believe it or not, them being 20th in like the points per drive, that rate, that would be a dramatic improvement over where they are right now. So
it would be massive, which is sad.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some other injuries that we have in general for our Giants. I think Zach Rosenblatt kind of summarized it kind of well based off of what he's seen in Tucson this week. He feels better about Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, and Mike Glennon playing this week than Kadarius Toney and Adoree Jackson. So most likely some of the big names that are not going to be there, Kadarius Toney, Adoree Jackson. Adoree's kind of expected. Kadarius is kind of disappointing. Maybe he had a chance to come back, and just another week where he's not going to be on the field. One of the beat reporters put out a video where he was running some sort of route on the side, and then he pulled the muscle. And, that's never good. Shepard, I thought, was a little bit of a surprise, because we didn't have a solid update on him last week, and I thought we were supposed to see him maybe 2 weeks ago. So it's nice to see that those guys are hopefully going to be there. The guys that were limited, Saquon's limited. He had his ankle wrapped up this week, but looks like he's going to play. Daniel Jones limited, not going to play. Kadarius Toney, we already talked about him. Kenny Golladay was also a guy that was limited too. Grump, I guess maybe we can start off our preview about the Giants offense against the Chargers defense this way. Wednesday, we thought Jake Fromm was going to be starting. Now it's probably going to be Mike Glennon. Thoughts?
Well, this is the most important injury the Giants have right now is Mike Glennon.
Yeah.
It's still, to me, concussion protocol. I am holding my breath that he plays. I don't care what reports are from anybody. The concussion protocol, to me, on a 1 week turnaround, I'm not banking on anything. I know it's happened. I know it can happen. I know he finished the game at some point. He must have had a concussion at some point in the game and continued to play.
I was talking with Dan Schneier and Nick Filato last night on YouTube. They love to watch the old 22. I think Nick Filato saw something in the second quarter where Glennon got a little uneasy. Glennon got a little unrattled. Now, this is all just the theory. This is not like definitively Daniel Jones did get hurt the second play of the game against the Eagles, but this is just a theory that they had while I was chatting with them. Glennon kind of started that Miami game off on fire, and then just a dramatic turnaround where, really did go down. So maybe he got the concussion during the game, and he was unrattled or rattled, I should say, rattled after that point. I don't know.
It's a perfectly fine theory. Like I said, I'm not a doctor.
We're not a doctor.
We're not doctors. We're not a doctor. But it's perfectly fair because he suddenly looked, he's Mike Glennon, right? Some targets were off, his ball placement was wild. But by the second half, he looked like a totally different quarterback, and everything else looked like they had made some adjustments in the locker room. So he was the only one that seemed to reverse his adjustment. And I think that's a pretty fair theory. But either way, the biggest thing about this injury now, as it stands for the Chargers, is it's twofold. First, you have Jake Fromm as your next guy, which I have no faith in doing anything other than handing the ball off. And even then, there's only going to be a limited amount of plays he's going to even know. Jesus. And on top of that, Jerry Shaplinski is in the COVID protocol, so he doesn't have a quarterback coach. It's not. It couldn't be a worse scenario for a QB4 to come in and play a game.
What can go wrong?
Jesus. And I don't know. But if Glennon can play, I will breathe out a heavy sigh of relief. And you know, whatever. But
versus a guy who's been here for a week,
30 seconds. I think I know the playbook better than him.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk beyond Glennon and just the offense in general?
Yeah. Let's do it. I think the next thing that kind of comes to my mind is Chargers rushing defense, where I think the last time that probably maybe we faced a bad rushing defense like this was against the Raiders, and it actually was a game where Nate Solder was even moving somebody off the ball. I don't know if I'm going to expect that again, but this Chargers defense clearly does have a philosophy with Brandon Staley of, you know, the too high. He's one of the guys that really kind of brought that to the league, I feel, you know, playing that too high system that Graham likes, that Vic Fangio likes as well. They're going to prevent you from having the big explosive pass play, but, you know, they are bad, and I think they are worse, according to DVOA and Football Outsiders. They are a worse rushing defense than the Giants is, and that's pretty impressive. So,
yeah, you know what really sucks about previewing this game is that I had this game and last week's game earmarked as good litmus tests for this organization and this franchise as they're building and growing. You know, they're two franchises now between Miami and LA that are on the upswing. They are rebuilding and they're doing pretty well while doing it, but they're not quite there yet. And you can see the Chargers are kind of erratic. They put up 40 points twice in the last 4 weeks against the Steelers and Bengals, who aren't slouches, but 41 points against both of them. And then also lost to the Broncos and the Vikings. So they're still finding their way as well. When they look good, they look good. When they look bad, they don't really look good at all. So like you said with Vic Fangio, this is a game that ideally, if this team were actually healthy, if we had Nick Gates, if we had, you know, Shane Lemieux, if Daniel Jones were playing, you know, most of our receivers look like they're going to come back this week. So this is a game that they actually could win. I don't love this Chargers defense. Like you said, they're very weak against the run. And I think that they leave a lot of gaps in zone coverage. And not to mention, by the way, we haven't talked about the Chargers injury report. If Chris Harris Jr. can't play, you're looking at, and Asante Samuel Jr.,
Yep.
You're looking at some of the weakest corners we faced this year.
Yeah. Kyler Fackrell revenge game while we're talking about guys. A possible Linval Joseph. I think he should play practice this week. Linval Joseph revenge game.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting as well. But yeah, frankly, even like it sucks. It sucks that the Giants are at this point where, you know, we're looking at so many guys that, you know, that are not here or that are still struggling through injury. There's just still not a lot of expectations for this offense. A play that I would like to see is, you know, if they're going to play that too high system, and obviously I don't think we're going to see a lot of contested catches by Kenny Golladay. Don't think this is going to be the week that we're going to see it. But that mini post that he would run, like, that's been the play that has been most successful for him this year. No matter who's at quarterback, Fromm, Glennon, that should be a play that I would hope that Mike Glennon can beat if there's a lackluster corner in front of him. Find a gap, find, you know, a zone in that defense, a weak spot in that defense, run that mini post where it's not going to be a 20-plus yard play, but it could be a 15 to 19 yard play, and that could be something that could be there consistently. So that's something about the passing offense.
Yeah, I have written down to find mismatches.
Yeah.
I mean, with the guys that are coming back between Kenny Golladay and Darius Slayton is supposed to be here still, and Sterling Shepard is going to be massive in this game. Sterling Shepard is very good at finding soft spots and zones. That's kind of his bread and butter. And on top of that, he's pretty good at getting yak afterwards. So he's going to be pretty huge in this game. I think that there's going to be mismatches to be found. Now, the biggest problem is going to be if Glennon can move his feet, because I didn't expect, I'm being serious here. Like,
yeah.
He played like garbage in that last game, and maybe he sustained a concussion during the game. But one thing that was pretty steady throughout the game from start to finish is that man just does not really move around in the pocket. And I don't mean the designed rollouts things, which were kind of weird, and we still ran those plays or whatever. But I mean, there was like Andrew Thomas gave up a sack in that game, and I want to say he was in the pocket for 6.5 seconds and didn't take a step.
Yeah.
I mean, there were alleyways for him to go out. He has zero pocket presence. So that's going to be huge in this game with Joey Bosa on the other side, especially if he's lining up against Nate Solder, because Solder is probably going to be able to get one push off on him and maybe swing him out wide, and that's going to be the best he can offer. And it's not like we can just chip on with a tight end every single play. So
no.
Mike Glennon's going to have to move
a
little bit.
Step up, manipulate, do something. Any expectation for the Giants rushing offense? Even facing such a bad rushing defense.
Well, the note I have is that ideally this is the game to run the ball. Mm-hmm. They're not particularly good up front, especially if Joseph is hurt, by the way, which I expect him to play, but what percentage are we getting Linval Joseph?
Right.
I have a very slight dying flame of hope deep inside of me. The Giants made their switch to put Bredesen in halfway through last week. The run game is supposed to be something that Ben Bredesen is good at, in the power run game. And if he's paired up next to Andrew Thomas, that might be the alleyway to start running the ball a little bit. Because this idea that we're going to run screens as an extension of the run game has been an absolute disaster this year. I don't think we've run a single screen perfectly.
Not happening.
I mean, like, we've gotten results from time to time, but at the expense of mistakes by the other team, really. They have to move the ball on the ground if they want to win this game. Now, is that going to happen? Do I have expectations for that? I have no reason to have expectations for that. We haven't been able to really run the ball except against Vegas. And, then we had Daniel Jones in there, which changes the entire scheme of how you play this, team. So I have zero expectations. Do you?
No, I have zero expectations, especially if Saquon Barkley is struggling with something with his ankle. Then it makes my hope even less. Because frankly, I don't even think it's physical at this point with Saquon.
Yeah.
It could be physical where the explosivity is not the same with the knee, sure. But I would still take 75, 60% of Saquon Barkley's physicality and athleticism of 2018. Even if he's 60% of the athlete, I would still take that to be a solid running back. But I think it's mental, and if it's something that's just mental inside of him that just doesn't think he can get 4 or 5 yards on a consistent basis, or he wants the big play too much, then it almost doesn't even matter what defense we're facing. And Devontae Booker's nothing great also. That's also the thing. He may not be that much better of an option. All right. So, Giants defense has quite the interesting matchup against this Chargers offense. Quick question just to start. Kind of put you on the spot.
Here I am.
Justin Herbert or Tom Brady MVP? Now, Kyler Murray may deserve it, but he's been hurt. I think those are like the two guys that really do deserve the MVP the most. And who are you siding with?
Are those really the two guys?
Jonathan Taylor? Do you want to throw him in the discussion? Matt Stafford, but Matt Stafford, he's a guy that's wavered off the last couple of weeks. Josh Allen, turnovers. I really do think it's Brady and Herbert. And my apologies if I'm forgetting somebody else, but Taylor, Brady, Herbert. Those are the three front runners right now.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I haven't really given much thought to the MVP. The MVP is almost always a clear-cut guy, so I just don't ever really pay attention to it. Literally ever.
I think the difference in discussion...
It has to be Brady.
Yeah. The difference in discussion, though, is Brady has a much better supporting cast, and Herbert, while Keenan Allen's fantastic, Austin Eckler's fantastic, I think Herbert has been able to do a little bit more with his surroundings than Brady, who has Gronk, who's playing at near prime Gronk level. Again, they have that great connection, and even though Antonio Brown and some of their wide receivers have missed time, I mean, you would take one or two of Godwin and Evans on any football team any week. So absolutely. I think that may be the argument. Now I think Brady's going to win it, but Herbert is number one in the league in EPA. He's number one in the NFL at ESPN QBR. He has I think 3 out of his last 5 games or 4 out of his last 5 games are over 300 yards passing. 2 of them are over 350 yards passing. So he has some duds of games this year. But also, he's boomed, and he's boomed more or less the second half of the season more than he's busted out. Also, something to note for this Giants defense. So Justin Herbert has had the big games with a lot of passing yards. 5 interceptions over the last 4 games. The Giants are still 7th in the league in forced turnover rate. So that's the path. That's really the path to victory. I feel like for the Giants is run the ball on the offensive side of the ball, because certainly you're not throwing it, you're not getting explosive, and then on the defensive side of the ball, I don't think you're going to get after the quarterback. I don't think you're going to stop the run. So you got to force turnovers, and you got to hope for Herbert can throw some interceptions to you.
Yeah. So I guess let me say this for you, Justin. Somebody said that I've seen Football Grump pop up on Twitter. I just assumed that he was a 65-year-old mountain man.
Sure.
I'm 34 years old. I just turned 34 last week. And the other day I woke up and I work from home, thankfully, most of the time. And I crawled from my bed to my computer chair to do work because I slept funny. I sustained an injury from sleeping incorrectly. Tom Brady is older than me and gets bashed around for a living. I think he gets the MVP anyway. I know you're absolutely right. It's also a popularity contest. He's just a name, and we're witnessing a transition, right? Drew Brees is gone. Eli Manning's gone. Peyton Manning's gone. Ben Roethlisberger is on his way out. Tom Brady remains head and shoulders above his. I mean, he might win just based on that for longevity and the fact that
Mahomes is going through like a growth year, which is bizarre. He's going through a growth year and he's still having a pretty solid year, but Brady is the guy that still remains, like you said.
Yeah, I just don't know if Herbert has that star power name yet to win over something like that as competition for a silly award. But as far as defense goes for this game, I totally agree. Herbert is still a young quarterback, and he's had a couple of turnovers just recently, but he's generally not a big turnover guy, but disguise everything. It's what Patrick Graham does well. It covers up so many of our deficiencies on defense. This is a game to do it. Anytime you have a young quarterback, this is a game to disguise. One of my main things is with the running game, I don't think that the Giants are terrible at playing the run. I think they've been bad tacklers this year. And if you're playing Austin Eckler, you need to tackle surely. And if you look at the Chargers-Eagles game, it's one of the things the Eagles did really well to stay in that game. No yak at all. And like there were a couple broken runs towards the second half of the game, but they had really bottled up a lot of stuff. Eckler's not easy to bring down. If they can tackle better in this game, I think they can stop the run. And they better, because no matter what, Los Angeles, they're going to keep running it. They don't care. That is what they lean on.
Yeah, the Chargers have had some early down efficiency struggles this year, and analytics people will point to it's because they like to lean on the run. While there is a value to running the ball, if you can do it, there's a value to running the ball on early downs, which the Giants can't do it. Which is partially why Justin Herbert may have some big numbers sometimes, because constantly if you're winding up in third and longs, and Justin Herbert's such an awesome quarterback, he's going to convert those third and longs, and there you go. You're going to have more passing yards and more attempts, more yards, et cetera, et cetera. It's funny. I mentioned kind of in the beginning of the show when we were talking about Jones and his injury situation. It is funny how this even goes back to Herbert's rookie year too, where everybody talked about Justin Herbert like he was this quarterback that was just throwing bombs down the field, one play after another play after another play. And while Herbert does, at least as of last year, really did a good job of leading the league in 20-plus yard play touchdowns, Justin Herbert's average intended air yards per passing attempt is around the same as Daniel Jones. And what's the criticism of Daniel Jones, at least from a play calling standpoint? We haven't let Daniel Jones throw the ball deep down the field enough. So Herbert and Jones and their numbers are kind of similar in terms of their average depth of target and how far they throw the football down the field. And frankly, that's what scares me also about this game, where I would feel better if Herbert had the mentality of a Derek Carr or a Patrick Mahomes of, I just want to throw it deep down the field and I'm going for that explosive pass play. Herbert has done an awesome job throughout his first 2 years of getting those big plays when they're there, but also utilizing the intermediate part of the field. And that is what this Giants defense is bad against. They're bad against offenses that don't mind running a lot of plays. Chargers offense is about middle of the pack in explosive play rate. And I think you mentioned Austin Eckler in the running game. I think Austin Eckler is going to also have a big game in the receiving game. We're just out in those flats. You saw that's where Tampa Bay beat us with Leonard Fournette, and that's where Kansas City kind of beat us with those running backs out there. Just Patrick Mahomes looking down the field, but then eventually he'll turn to the sideline. Boom, that running back is open in the flat, and there's a ton of yards after the catch. So that's where I think the Chargers are going to attack this game. And if the Giants are a bad tackling defense, like you said, even in the passing game, not coming up and making a play or getting that guy on the ground as soon as possible, that's where that can bite you in the ass too.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the tight ends as well. This one. So I feel you on this one. And again, this is a really frustrating game to try and preview and analyze, really, because it can go two totally different ways based on COVID test results. I mean, we have like an entire wide receiver room for the Chargers that are pretty much on notice. You know, I mean, like we know Keenan Allen is out, right? That's confirmed.
Yep.
So Keenan Allen is out, which immediately puts like Mike Williams and Jared Cook as like the next two guys you have to be worried about in the receiving game.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Williams is not a lock to play. He has to come up with a negative test result in order to play. If neither of those guys play, I have no idea. I mean, I have to imagine that Patrick Graham plays his defense totally differently, because why the Bucs and the Chiefs ate that up is because we were just dropping so many guys into coverage because we kind of need to. I mean, we're not going to get home rushing the passer. So we got to play coverage, and that often meant leaving the flats totally uncovered. Now the Chargers, as part of their regular game, like to throw tight ends out there. They love throwing Eckler out there, and they have a good rotation of tight ends. I'm a little bit more worried about guys like Jared Cook, because I think they'll get less attention if, you know, Mike Williams is playing. I think Austin Eckler is going to draw a lot of attention. I think guys like Jared Cook are going to slip out. And I mean, they're also hard to bring down. And if you get them running with a full head of steam with offensive linemen in front of them, I mean, not exactly any heavy hitters in the secondary for this Giants team.
No.
So I'm worried about the same thing you are.
Big Aaron Robinson game. You know, he was covering some tight ends last week with Gesicki. You know, he was even covering Jalen Waddle at times. You know, clearly they're putting a lot on Aaron Robinson's plate. So I would love to see for, you know, the third game in a row, but especially maybe the second game in a row where he can make some eye-popping plays, and, you know, another guy that we can get excited for even more. So, Grump, you got anything else before we talk about Roman?
Let me see. The last thing I have is to be aggressive, because I think Justin Herbert is really good at picking apart zones. I think that's one of the things he does really, really well. Yeah. I would like to see our corners not play super duper soft this game. That's the last thing I got.
Right on. All right. Before we welcome on Danny King, we talk about some weather. We talk about some trivia. We talk about some fantasy and quick picks. We got to talk about Roman. When the moment for intimacy arrives, you need to be ready. You got to be Roman ready. Whether you've been in a relationship for years or you're just getting started, having the confidence that comes from preparation means that you're free to enjoy the moment when the moment comes, even though you're far from the ordinary, which, I mean, Grump. I mean, is that not the case? Is that not the case for you? You're a little bit far from the ordinary? You're a weird dude?
Yeah, I'm super far from the ordinary. Top, 99th percentile.
99th percentile of weird. The truth is that ED is really common. In fact, 52% of guys aged 40 to 70 experience some sort of erectile dysfunction, so I want you to get Roman.com/JohnBoy now to speak to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional about erectile dysfunction and get $15 off your first month of treatment. So, I mean, Grump, this is like the first time that you're here, first time that you're hearing this, so I want to tell you about this process, all right? A U.S. licensed healthcare professional, they're going to work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, convenient, and discreet. The discreet part of it, that's my favorite thing. I don't want any, I live in an apartment complex. I don't want anything big Roman letters on my package. It's going to ship to me discreet, it's going to ship to me fast, and it's going to be free with that 2-day shipping. Getting started is simple. Get Roman.com/JohnBoy now. Complete that online visit, connect with the U.S. licensed healthcare professional, and take care of it. One more time. Get Roman.com/JohnBoy today. And if you're prescribed, get $15 off your first month of ED treatment. Make sure you're ready to have the confidence and control this winter. Be ready. Roman ready. And now, we want to welcome on Danny King. All right, welcome back to the show. And now, I'd like to welcome on third member of Talking Giants, Danny Boy King. Danny King, how are you, my friend? Love the festivity. I love the hat.
I gotta bring out the hat. I think it's a very cool hat. I gotta stay with the holiday spirits because this Giants team provides me nothing, and all I have right now is the holiday season. So I'm gonna rock the holiday, stay a little festive. And I know some people liked the hat last year, so I was like, let me keep the tradition going.
Let's do it.
Wearing the hat. But so we know, Grump, where are you from? Are you in the Northeast, right? Are you Jersey?
I am in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Yeah. So it's cold up here. Where it's like 30 degrees up here in upstate New York. I don't know what it's like down there, but it's probably cold. The Giants are going to sunny LA. How's that? And it's just going to be warm. They're in a dome, so obviously the temperature doesn't matter. But now I'm looking at it. It says it's going to be 61 degrees in LA. That seems weird.
Freezing.
That's like freezing weather. They're probably not going to know how to handle themselves over there. But 61 degrees, they're in a dome. It doesn't matter. The only thing the Giants are bringing with them to LA is the misery that we're going to be feeling on Sunday, because we could have Mike Glennon probably, or it's going to be Jacob Fromm. Who knows? It's going to be Glennon though, which is
Glennon.
Mike Glennon.
I can't get over that's what you call him.
Glennon.
Who called him that again? Where does that start? Gruden?
Oh, Gruden.
Yeah.
Hard Knocks. Gotta love it though. I can't say I like Gruden anymore.
Yeah.
But Russian yards. You guys talk about Russian yards.
We got trivia. We got trivia, Danny.
You guys were talking about the Los Angeles Chargers and their bad Russian defense, so I decided to base the trivia question around that one. Who has the most rushing yards against the San Diego or Los Angeles Chargers in a single game?
Well,
Bo Jackson.
It's not Ron Dane. Who did you just say, Grump?
Bo Jackson.
Okay, wait. This is
It's a Giants
history.
It's a Giant player.
You jerk. I wish.
Bo Jackson.
Giants player, most rushing yards against the Chargers. It's such a limited matchup.
I'm going to say Tiki Barber. Like 05.
In a single game? I think I'm going to go Tiki Barber as well, yeah.
The actual answer for this week, it's Otis Anderson.
Oh, Otis Anderson you really himself, went back.
Yeah. 27 rushing attempts for 96 yards. He averaged 3.56 yards per attempt, and he had 2 touchdowns that day against the Los Angeles Chargers back on October 22nd, 1989.
We really suck against the Chargers.
Yeah, I was going to go punts for my trivia question because I feel like we're going to be punting a lot Sunday, but I decided not to because people don't like special teams, even though special teams could be fun.
This is an anti-special teams show.
Wait, I'm going to ask a special teams question, though.
Oh.
So off the air after our podcast for the review episode on Monday or whatever, who the hell did we just play? Miami. I asked the Cranky fan, like, yo, Riley Dixon continues to look average at best. What did you think? What did you guys both think of Miami's punter? Because I thought he was like insane.
He was booming those kicks.
Really? What? He punted out of his end zone down to like our 20-yard line or something like that.
Why can't we have anything nice? We can't have good punters. Like, we have a good kicker, but like we can't even have a good punter.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the Panther game? And like that was the worst punter I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, he was terrible. Yeah, he was bad.
It was actually funny.
I have a unique view at the end zone too, because that's one of the things that the end zone provides a really interesting point of view is kickoffs and punts.
Yeah.
Because you can really see the way the ball moves in the air and stuff like that. And like shanks, you can see immediately because they just go like right off to the right. Got a good view of that.
I find them to be very funny.
One of the greatest things I enjoy is up at school is just making fun of D3 punters because they are some of the worst kickers I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, poor D3 punters. Okay, so what we normally do in the second part or the third part of these preview pods, when we normally have an interview stuck in the middle, this is usually part 3. But what we usually do, Danny King talked about the weather, we gave a trivia question, but also we have our fantasy draft, where we draft Giants players and then the players from their opponents. This week, it's a little bit more complicated because a lot of the Chargers players are on COVID, and we're not Chargers fans, so we may get things wrong. Then we do Giant factors, quick picks, and then game predictions. So, fellas, let's kick it off with the fantasy draft. Last week, the results were Bobby Skinner is still in the lead. 34.9 points he had last week. Danny King is in second place. Last week he had 39.3 points. So Bobby, wasn't there like a decimal point difference last week, but Bobby pulled away slightly. So he's down by Danny, you're down by minus 4.1 points. Justin had a bad week last week, 13.6 points. I am 69.6 points down. Nice. So
nice. That's why you don't do big boards. The big boards just can't work out for us. We just got to go in blind.
That is so true. I felt so confident about my team last week, and I said I'm gonna lose because I made a big board, and I stooped down to Bobby Skinner's level. I really thought I had the best team last week. I got screwed. All right, so the order is this week: Justin, Bobby, who's Grump. You're gonna be picking for Bobby this week,
boy.
And then Danny, Justin, Bobby, Danny, and we do snake it. So I have the first pick in the fantasy draft, and I'm going to go with Austin Eckler. I think it's simple. He's the best player I think that is going to be available on both teams. Especially considering Keenan Allen's not playing. Kenny Golladay just doesn't have that fantasy punch, that fantasy impacts. Saquon Barkley doesn't either. Give me Austin Eckler. Think he's going to eat both on the ground and in the receiving game. Bobby, also known as Football Grump, you're up next. You have the second pick.
So I'm going to start this by just apologizing to Bobby. I haven't played fantasy in a number of years. So I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try.
We go PPR. So if that gives you any impetus to picks like Saquon, it's because he catches the ball a little bit. Yeah. So we do PPR and all the kind of normal rules. So
I'm willing to Venmo you money if you're gonna tank Bobby.
Would you Venmo me money if I actually win for it?
No,
because I am terrible. So if I actually win this week, then maybe Bobby should send me money.
Bobby should. Yes. Yeah.
I should get half of his winnings at the end of the year for winning the whole thing if he does. Saquon, you mentioned, he might be a factor in the receiving game. He couldn't catch a cold last week, so I'm going to go Sterling Shepard. If he is as healthy as it looks like he's going to play, this is a game for him to eat. And he's pretty good in fantasy just generally, so I feel pretty confident going Shepard so long as he's healthy.
Bam. Danny King.
Fun choice. So as I'm doing, my last bit of research into this whole situation, because that's how I do these fantasy drafts, I read Mike Williams. They're more optimistic he's going to play over Keenan Allen because I believe they said he had a negative test.
Keenan Allen's already out.
Allen's already out.
I think they should be more optimistic that Mike Williams may play.
I'm gonna take Mike Williams because obviously, with Keenan Allen out, he's gonna receive a bunch of targets, and Mike Williams is a quality wide receiver. He'll probably match up more with Bradbury, I would assume. I wonder how they're gonna use Bradbury with Keenan Allen out. Is he gonna stay on one guy? Is he gonna travel side to side? That's an interesting idea. Who knows? So Mike Williams is my first pick, and then my second pick will be the guy that I feel like Mike Glennon. I'll say Glennon, so everyone can take it. So Justin's Ashita doesn't keep going up because I keep saying Glennon. I'm gonna rock with Evan Ingram this week because Mike Glennon and him had a combination going there. I think he had 5 targets and he caught 4 of them. Evan Ingram's been good. His production is not nothing crazy, but he gets targets, he gets catches, and if he gets that occasional touchdown, then my points total just goes up and up and up. And I love my man Evan Ingram. I just realized I'm just gonna have to change my giant factor because that was who it was gonna be, but now I feel like I just gave away my whole spiel on him. So Evan Ingram, you were my giant factor, but you're also my second pick.
I could karate kick you right now. Evan Ingram was my next pick.
Evan Ingram train, baby.
I like the way Freddie Kitchens is using him. It feels like the way he should have been used since he came out of college. He just finally is running more than 8 yards down the field. Man, I think LA is just such a mystery right now at the wide receiver spot. I don't feel super comfortable picking a Charger at all right now. Not this high up. I'm going to go. I felt so comfortable with Ingram too. I guess I'm going to go Kenny Golladay in this one. I know he's probably going to draw a lot of the attention there, but if he gets any one-on-ones, they've already shown that Glennon is going to look that way. They're going to throw at him. Freddie Kitchens wants him involved, and to the point where they're forcing it at him. So I guess I feel the most comfortable with Kenny Golladay next.
All right. So I have back-to-back picks, and really the decision is I know who I'm picking first, but is a Giant going to be second? And I want to pick the Giant first so it looks better on the sheet.
Yeah, of course.
Because we're biased here. I really want to go Slayton, but why? Why should I? I would low-key be more confident in a backup Chargers wide receiver than I would Darius Slayton. Which is bizarre, right? I mean, that's a bizarre situation that we're in. Yeah, I'm going to go Darius Slayton. Biased. If Sterling Shepard does not play, which it's not a definite. He says he feels confident, and he did practice today, which was more than I thought that he would. Then Darius Slayton is your number 2. Maybe he gets a big play. I don't know. Jared Cook is going to be my next pick. Grump, you kind of convinced me in the earlier part of the show, the first part of the show. So I'm going to take Jared Cook, tight end for the Chargers. He's probably going to find some gaps in the middle of the field. Especially considering that there's no Keenan Allen and the depth chart for wide receiver for the Chargers is kind of low. Danny King, I believe. Nope, it's snaking back to you, Grump.
Yeah, that was where I was gonna go too. Man, this sucks. I guess I'll go Barkley here. I don't really feel. I think other guys are gonna get more involved and have limited opportunities and make the most of them. And Barkley's not going to make a lot out of his, but aggregate total, I think he'll probably do more. Yeah, I'm going Barkley.
Yeah, I mean, that's a solid pick at this point. You're getting number 1 running back for the Giants. Danny King.
I'm trying to think, do I want to go with one of the Chargers' backup wide receivers in either Palmer or Roberts? I know Roberts was just signed, so I wouldn't expect him to be anything crazy.
Well, someone's got to play if Keenan Allen.
Someone's got to play, so that's why, you know, let's have fun with it. Let's go Josh Palmer with this one pick, because someone's going to have to fill in for Keenan Allen, like you said. And then with my next pick, I'm then going to take... Man, this is just really such a rough week. I'm going to take John Ross. Why not? Can I get a John Ross? Everybody loves John Ross when he gets targets. Will he get a target? Probably not. But hey, you gotta love John Ross. Gotta love John Ross.
I think John Ross will have some catches, but I don't think he's going to take the top off in a too high safety defense. So I think he'll have some catches.
If Glennon could even throw that deep, that would be the most shocking thing.
I'm going to go Donald Parham. Just another one of those big tight ends that...
Okay, I was literally like, who the heck is Donald Parham?
He's just another one of those big tight ends, and I think Patrick Graham is a good defensive coordinator. He's going to get rid of the obvious ones. It's going to be up to player talent to take care of the guys they should be able to take care of, and I don't know.
This is where it's bad not to have Bobby on the show. Danny, how many picks do we do? This is where I always get confused.
I believe this is the last one. You have one pick left, if I'm correct.
I have one pick left. Got it.
I believe so.
If we screwed up, we screwed up. Who cares? We'll correct it in a text message, and it'll be a footnote.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Jalen Guyton.
Ooh.
That's what I'm going to do. You already took Josh Palmer. I'm taking Guyton. I feel like part of me has felt like we've taken like 4 Chargers wide receivers. That's because we're just banking on some of them not playing and more guys getting reps. Guyton's projected to get 10 points on ESPN Fantasy. However, Josh Palmer is an exciting pick. A lot of draft people are, excited to see what he's got, even though he's been buried on that depth chart for the Chargers. All right, so here's what I got. If that is it, this is why it's bad to not have Bobby, and I should have asked, hey, Bobby, how many picks should we each have before the draft ends? I don't know. All right, so I have Austin Eckler, Darius Slayton, Jalen Guyton, and Jared Cook. Grump, you have Shepard, Kenny Golladay, Saquon Barkley, and Parham, the backup tight end. Danny King, you have Mike Williams, Evan Ingram, Josh Palmer, and John Ross.
Can I get a John Ross?
That is a fantasy draft. Giant factors. Justin, you're up first. Would have been nice if you thought of one.
You nailed it last week.
I've been on a roll with my giant factors. I picked Logan Ryan, which he had COVID. I picked Tay Crowder against the Eagles. He had an interception, but he's been bad. And then who did I pick last week, Danny?
Austin Johnson.
Austin Johnson, who apparently was the Giants' best defensive graded player according to PFF. So take that.
PFF.
I am going to go defensive side of the ball again.
Oh.
And briefly talked about him with Grump towards the first half of the show. I'm going to go Aaron Robinson.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
He's been my darling the last couple weeks, especially without Daniel Jones. He has been the thing and the player that I have been getting most excited about watching the Giants. I made a good compilation clip of all the plays that I clipped on Sunday where I was like, wow, that is an eye-popping play from Aaron Robinson. And the video did quite well. And I'm glad the video did well because Aaron Robinson deserves that. So Aaron Robinson, go out there, be a giant factor. Whether you're covering a slot wide receiver, whether you're covering Jared Cook, you're being asked to do a million different things. Go out there, be a giant factor, have another good game. Bobby, also known as Football Grump, who is your giant factor?
And I struggle with this one because this game is weird, but I ultimately landed on something we already kind of talked about with the Giants offense, and that's Ben Bredesen. I mean, if he's playing, he's supposed to be that guy that was going to flourish in a power system. The Giants traded for him. He got hurt, but also wasn't very good. But they also traded for him and like 2 weeks later was playing in a game. So I don't know. But if he's going to go in there and sub in for Skura, who's been terrible, and this is a game where they should be running the ball, then logic says they should be running the ball behind Andrew Thomas and Ben Bredesen. So if Ben Bredesen can actually provide some level of running game off the left side, this is a dramatically different game in terms of winnability. They haven't been able to run the ball for anything so far this year. So it would be and they're going to want to be leaning on the run if they can in this game. So for me, it's going to be Ben Bredesen. And if he plays like he should be.
Danny King.
My giant factor this week is Xavier McKinney. Now, honestly, Xavier McKinney's already having a good year. There's no need to describe, but Patrick is the type of defensive coordinator that I feel like could give Justin Herbert a little fits back there this week with his disguise at coverages, the way he moves around his players. Xavier McKinney could benefit from a Justin Herbert deep ball where he thinks he has someone deep over the middle. Also, Xavier McKinney's just there lurking like a little creep that he is in that middle of the field. So Xavier McKinney, get me an interception this week. I feel like this is the week you could get another interception onto your total, and this is just a week we could just give Justin Herbert a fit and have a baller of a defensive game. Now, obviously, can they sustain this over 4 quarters? I don't know, but I think Patrick Graham has a good game plan drawn up, and I think Xavier McKinney is going to be a major factor in it this weekend.
Danny King, as you pull up the DraftKings ad to get ready to read that, an underrated giant factor, a runner-up giant factor, has to be Azeez, right?
Yeah.
You know, if he's lining up over Rashawn Slater, which we didn't talk about that towards the first half of the show, Grump. We did mention Kyler Fackrell revenge game. We did mention Linville Joseph revenge game.
Oh, Kyler Fackrell.
But Rashawn Slater, which a lot of the fan base, partially revisionist history, but a lot of the fan base, wanted him. They feel bad about trading down and seeing how well guys like Micah Parsons and Rashawn Slater are playing. Where there's a good argument for Rashawn Slater to win Rookie of the Year. It's not going to work out that way because they don't give that award to offensive linemen. But it would be pretty cool to see Azeez, if he's lining up or on that left side, left side of the offensive line, right side of the defense. It'd be pretty cool if he got his 7.5 sack of the year over Rashawn Slater. That would be pretty cool. So Danny King, give me a DraftKings ad, please.
Guess what, football fans? I'm sure we all love the action-packed, high-scoring NFL game. But with the latest no-brainer for DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting and partner of the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point scored. A single point? New customers who bet just $1 on any team to score can win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. That's pretty wild if you ask me, because there's going to be points scored on NFL Sunday. That's just a fact of life. Points will be scored on Sunday. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code JOHNBOY. Bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score with promo code JOHNBOY. This week's at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And Bobby's not here to say his Indiana won with it line, if I'm correct.
1-800-9 with it. There you go.
There it is.
That was a good breath that you took at the end, and you got all that out in that breath. That was that was well done. A+, Danny King. All right. So now we have quick picks. So, to recap Week 12 and to recap the season so far, Danny King still in the lead, 57-46 record. Everybody went 4-4 last week. Nobody gained, lost a game. So last week everybody went 4-4. Well, Danny, we had the same picks last week, so it's actually nice to see that I didn't tank your season. Your quick pick season.
I trusted you with all your picks last week. So that's why I rocked with it.
Well, yeah, clearly you should have only trusted me with half of them. All right, so Danny, record still stands 57-46. Bobby, 53-50. The listeners are 50-53. Justin, myself, I am 45-58. Grump will be representing the listeners this week. Bobby Skinner has texted me his quick picks before the game. Something that I just feel like is funny because I'm looking at the schedule right now. Bobby did not include the Bears at the Packers. That game is the Sunday Night Football game this week.
Outrageous.
That is going to be a very, very fun game. But first, we have Thursday Night Football. Steelers at Vikings. Vikings are the home favorite. They are getting 3 points at home. Danny, we'll start off with you, gambling expert. Where are you going with this one?
This game is just best. This is like just the perfect way to describe Thursday Night Football. A team that tied with the Detroit Lions and a team that lost to the Detroit Lions. This is Thursday Night Football right here. I'm going to have to rock with the Minnesota Vikings. They got embarrassed last week. They have Dalvin Cook. How healthy is he? I don't know. They don't have Adam Thielen, though. That's a bummer. but the Steelers are just not very good. I think they can give Ben Roethlisberger a tough time back there in the pocket on Thursday because he is a statue. So Minnesota.
Grump, where are you going? You're muted.
Oh,
I did it. I pulled a full Bobby on.
Yeah, I was about to say because Bobby's not here, so you had to do it.
Yeah, it was planned totally.
Good homage, whatever the word is.
This is a weird game between two weird teams I can't understand, and it's a Thursday night game, which is never not weird.
Which is weirder, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know why the Vikings are favorites. I don't know why anyone's a favorite in this game. I actually have the Steelers winning this one in a thriller of sloppiness, 23-21. So They won't cover.
There you go. All right, I'm going Vikes -3. Vikes -3.
Kirk Cousins believer, Justin Pennick.
I think every game I just pick the Vikings, like every single game, because they are easily, in my opinion, my unbiased Giants opinion, I think they are the most frustrating team in the NFL. So that's where I'm going right there. Next game, Ravens-Browns. Browns are the home favorites by 2.5 points. Browns -2.5. Grump, where are you going with this one?
The Ravens. Why are the Browns favored in this game?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Is it only because Kareem Hunt is back?
Well, also, I think the home team automatically gets 3 points, so I guess does that... So I guess on a neutral site, the Browns are half a point underdogs. I think that's how that works.
Yeah, I have the Ravens in this one. Weird. Yeah, that's silly. How much is home field advantage for every single team to have a general rule like that? That's kind of strange. I'm going Ravens on this one. I think the Browns are still banged up.
Danny.
Yeah, I'm going the Ravens. Baker Mayfield, like we say, Ben Roethlisberger statue. That's by age. Baker is a statue by injuries because he has basically every body part is injured. I'm going to take the Ravens +2.5 because I don't know why they're not the favorites.
All right, I'm taking the Ravens too. But if we all agree again, well, no, Grump, you said Steelers, but if you all agree again, I'm going something different next time. You know what? I'm starting off Cowboys at Washington. Washington, they are 4.5 point home underdogs. I'm getting a little frisky. I'm feeling something. Mike McCarthy came out and said that, oh yeah, we're going to win this game. And then Dak Prescott, when asked, do you agree with your head coach? Do you think you're going to win this game? He said, shit yeah. Which, who says shit yeah?
Yeah, no,
that's such a weird statement. Hell yeah. If you want to curse, you should just go full F mode. F yeah. But he said shit yeah? Washington's going to cover. +4.5. They may not win, but they're going to cover. Weird divisional game. Grump, what do you got?
Well, I feel a lot less guilty because I'm not representing Bobby right now. I'm representing a general faceless public.
Yes.
So I don't feel any shame whatsoever in saying I hate Mike McCarthy so much. I'm picking Washington only because he guaranteed it like a jackass.
Guys, I'm not liking what's happening right now. Well, we're agreeing a little too much.
Oh, come on. I went first and picked Washington because I thought it was going to be different.
Cowboys are just failing right now. You see those videos the football team are posting with Ron Rivera in the locker room. They're like taking down Goliath. It's legendary stuff.
Oh, he's got me ready to run through a wall.
He does. So that's why I can't pick against Ron Rivera and probably the great second best quarterback in the NFC East right now, Taylor Heineke.
There you go. All right, so we all got Washington. Next, 49ers at Bengals. Bengals are home favorites. No, I'm sorry. The Bengals are home underdogs, +1.5 points to Kyle Shanahan's 49ers. So, Danny King, you were kind of shocked by that line. What do you got?
I mean, I get, the Bengals lost last week, but they lost to, a great game. How are they not the favorites? The Bengals are just, I think, so much better than the Niners, and I think they're better than 1.5 point underdogs. Give me the Bengals, please. I feel like this is an easy pick.
I'm going to go with Kyle Shanahan's 49ers. I think, they obviously need to make some quarterback changes eventually, but Kyle Shanahan had a funny play call on 4th and 1 where they allowed Jimmy Garoppolo to get a read option, but I'm getting slowly back in on that Kyle Shanahan train. Grump, what do you got?
This one I was really unsure of. This was the one that I kept going back and forth on. So I'm just going to flip a coin in my head and say Bengals. I think this one's really close, to be honest with you.
Yeah. All right, 2 games left. Why this game isn't a primetime game? I guess the Bills got a primetime game last week, so they got to mix it up. But Bills at the Bucks. The Bucks are -3.5 point favorites at home. Grump, what do you got?
I got Bills.
Bills.
I got Bills, man. I'm over this. Bucks are, undefeated at home thing. I think honestly, last week the Bills had to play a game that does not rely on what they're best at. And as Josh Allen has great escapability, he can throw downfield really well. I don't think the world of Tampa's secondary, and as long as he can get away from a sack or two, I think he'll be able to throw downfield. I am picking Bills on this one, but again, this one's also really close, right?
Yeah. Bills defense is kind of legit, so this will be really interesting to see, Tom Brady going up against a really good defense, and then if Josh Allen can kind of get back to form against the secondary that maybe can allow some plays. Danny King, where are you going? Oh, are you circling the wagons this week?
I didn't circle them last week, and I won't be circling them again this week.
Wow.
The defensive Super Bowl champs. I'm gonna have to rock with the Bucs. I'm gonna hope that they can maybe expose a little more of that Buffalo's run defense. And the Bucs are at home. They're usually beasts at home. It's just the way it is. It's disappointing. I'm disappointed myself, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are gonna beat the Buffalo Bills this week.
Yeah, man. I feel like there's some instability on the offensive side of the ball for Buffalo right now, where head coach and offense coordinator.
That's really interesting.
Am I low-key rooting for Brian Daboll to get fired from Buffalo so he can come to the Giants? Maybe.
Yes.
But, man, Bucs are just too good. I kind of want the Bills to win this one because I think that'll make the AFC a lot more fun and exciting, because the Patriots are kind of low-key running away with it. I'm going to take the Bucs though. I want the Bills to win. I want to be wrong, and usually I'm wrong in these quick picks anyway. So I'm taking the Bucs. I'm going to be wrong. Sorry, Danny. Last one. Rams at Cardinals. Cardinals are -2.5-point favorites. This is a fun Monday Night Football game where we will see Odell Beckham Jr. again on primetime television. Glad everybody's healthy for this. Also, we're going to see Marcus Golden on primetime television. So, Cardinals -2.5. Grump.
I'm going Rams at this one. Division games are so weird, especially when they're like a division I don't pay that much attention to. But I guess I'm just going to go Rams here. I feel a little bit leaning on McVay, I think, is a smart idea when you're not sure.
I'm going Cardinals. My boy Marcus Golden's going to get a sack on primetime television. Danny King, wrap us up with quick picks.
I love the Cardinals, but like Grump said, divisional game, primetime football. The Rams are going to need to get back on track some point, and this is a really good test. Two good coaches, and I think Matthew Stafford can possibly have a get-right game this week. I don't think they're going to win, the Rams, but they're going to cover, because good teams win. Great teams cover.
This is true. That's basically kind of the summary of Joe Judge's tenure so far. May not win,
but they cover.
But we cover.
They cover that spread more often than not.
More often than not, we cover. Especially that was 2020's theme. All right, fellas. Giants, Dolphins predictions. Now, since I'm technically the Bobby Skinner of the show.
Oh no,
I'm gonna go last.
You got a lot riding on this one.
But Grump, Giants, Dolphins. Wait, I said Giants, Dolphins.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a great prediction for that. I guarantee you, I'll get this score right.
Oh wait, it was written down wrong.
Oh yeah, it says Dolphins.
It was written down wrong in the rundown in the notes. I apologize. Giants, Chargers predictions. Grump, give us a Giants, Chargers prediction, a score prediction.
This is the hardest part of a hard episode to preview because I have two scores written down and I'm going to pick one. One of them was 33-13 Chargers. Now, but again, there's so much unsure. I mean, if Keenan Allen, I didn't know that Keenan Allen was definitely out when I wrote that. Mike Williams isn't, we're unsure. I'm feeling a little bit better about it. It's the offense for the Giants that really, really makes me nervous. And I don't know. I think I'm going to go with this one about 24-17 Chargers, but I think that score is going to be a garbage time touchdown for the Giants. It'll be really 24-10-ish.
Yeah.
Danny.
Wow, the Giants are bad. I mean, luckily it seems like Mike Glennon will be starting, which is a sad statement to be saying in the year 2021 that I'm happy Mike Glennon will be starting, but it's where we're at, and the Giants, the Chargers are just a better team. I think maybe not defensively, definitely offensively they're the better team. Giants defense has been better, but they're going to win because the Giants offense can't do anything. Giants are going to lose this one. You know what? I'm going to say 13-28. The New York Giants will lose to should have been New York Giants quarterback Justin Herbert, but he decided to stay in college and pursue a degree.
No, he wanted to play with his brother. Bobby Skinner's not here. Who knows? Maybe this would be the game where he said, Giants 2, Chargers 0. Maybe this would be the game. I don't know. Another week without Daniel Jones. A week where who knows who's going to play on either side of the ball. But you want to know what? Bobby Skinner's not here. And there's one tradition that he carries strong week in and week out. I'm going to continue that tradition. I am not going to make the call and say Giants 2, Chargers 0. My prediction for this game, Giants 77, Chargers 0. That is a preview pod. Thank you for listening. Let's go Giants. Let's go Blue. We will see you next week. We will see you for a Victory Monday podcast. And until then, let's go Big Blue.